All right, we are on the grade 7, module 3, lesson 12 video. So we are starting out on page 76 today. And we are going to go revisit something called inequalities. So inequalities, remember, inequalities are similar to equations, but they are statements that tell us two things are not equal. So we'll say statements that tell us two things are not equal. So there we have statements that say two amounts are not equal. So there are four types of inequalities we'll talk about in this one. The first one will be less than. Then there's greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. There we go, we have those down. So that was just a little review for us. So let's talk about what does it mean to preserve the inequality symbol, because that's what we're going to be looking at today. Operations that preserve the inequality symbol or that reverse the inequality symbol. So we will keep it short. Preserving the inequality symbol just means that the inequality symbol stays the same after the operation. So it faces the same direction after the operation. There we have it written down. So preserve means it faces the same direction after the operation. Where reverses means that the inequality symbol is going to face the opposite direction after the operation. So we're going to do a few things here. I'm going to go through the first couple operations myself, and then you're going to have to answer some questions on your own to figure out the other ones. So let's scroll down to station 1. So for station 1, what we're going to do is I'm going to fill in some numbers. We're going to leave the inequality sign blank. We're going to figure out whether it, after we do the operation, so add -3, subtract 2, subtract -1, and add 1, we're going to figure out if it changes what happens to the inequality sign. So if it preserves it or reverses it. So I decided we're going to stick with the same numbers here. We're going to stick with -3 on this side, +5 on this side. So each inequality sign is also going to stay the same to start because -3 is less than +5. So our inequality signs will stay the same for each of them. And you always want to make sure, hey, is this actually correct? Is the side that think of it like an alligator, is this opening toward the greater amount, the larger number, and is it facing away from the lesser number, which it is. Any negative number, the more negative it is, the less value it actually has. So let's see, we're going to follow what they did here. I'm going to zoom in right here and let's see. So the operation they want us to do is to add 2 each time. So we see add 2. They're adding 2 to each side. So you could think of it like this, where what we do to one side, we do to the other. Have to do it to both sides. And when that happens, so let's see, -3 plus 2 gives us -1. 5 plus 2 gives us 7. And we look at it, we say, oh, well, here's -1, here's +7. The opening, the alligator, faces this way because 7 is the greater value. So the inequality sign faces the same direction. It's still facing toward the right. So that's why we're saying it is preserved. Let's check out the other ones. So let's see. We'll keep the numbers we have, so -3. There's this operation we had, +5. Now it says to add -3. Plus -3 plus -3. So what happens here? We're going to have -3 plus -3 gives us -6. 5 plus negative 3 gives us positive 2. So remember, the more negative, so I didn't want to put that inequality sign yet, but the more negative a number is, the less value it actually has. So negative 6, even though it's 6, it's still less of a value than positive 2. So negative 6 is less than positive 2. And let's see what happens. So it started out as facing to the right. It still is facing to the right. So we would say preserved. Okay, I'll do one more example, then I'll have you guys answer questions on the next two. So again, we have negative 3 was the first number I selected. Positive 5 was the second number. Our symbol right now, when we have negative 3 and positive 5, our symbol still is facing the positive 5. Now it's telling us to subtract 2. So we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. So what are we going to end up with? Well, negative 3 minus 2 is going to equal negative 5. 5 minus 2 is going to equal positive 3. I look at it, I say, okay, what did my inequality symbol, what makes this true? Does it face this way or does it face the other way? 5 is negative, so negative 5 compared to positive 3, the symbol still faces that way because it's any positive number is greater than any negative number. So again, we would say, oh, it stayed the same. It was preserved. Okay, so please go ahead, take this time, answer the following questions about the next two. You're going to have to do the work on your own, then answer the questions, and we'll go from there. All right, there's the work for the fourth one. We have negative 4 is less than positive 4, so again, it was preserved. And there's our answer for the fifth one. Again, even when we add 1 to both sides, it's still preserved. So kind of boring so far. Every single one was preserved. We haven't seen a reversal yet. Let's look at the next station down. So the next station down. So on to station 2. Station 2, next page over. Same kind of setup, except a little bit of difference now. So we see in the opening example, they have it as reverse. So let's kind of break down what happened here. They start out with negative 3 is less than positive 4. Well, that's true. Any negative number is less than a positive. And the operation, they said, is to multiply by negative 1. So if you check out what they did here, well, they said, okay, we're multiplying because we put it in parentheses with no symbol after it, so that means multiplication. So negative 1 times negative 3. Remember, when you multiply a negative by a negative, anytime you multiply things with the same sign, it gives you a positive. So that's why we have positive 3. On the flip side, when we have a negative times a positive, it gives us a negative. And then so we would be left with positive 3 and negative 4. Well, we can't have the symbol facing the same way because positive 3 is greater than negative 4. Any positive number is greater than any negative number. So we see how it was originally opening to the right. Now that symbol is opening to the left. So it was reversed. So we're going to do the same kind of setup we did with station 1. This time I have picked some different numbers for us to use. So we have negative 1 and 2. Then you'll see the other numbers as we go down. So I filled in the new numbers I want us to use, but we have to come up with the correct inequality statements for them. So when we compare negative 1 to positive 2, our inequality sign is still going to face toward the right because 2 is greater. Well, let's continue down. So let's see, 3 and negative 4. Well, now it's going to face toward the left because positive 3 is greater. For this one, negative 3 and negative 4, remember, the more negative something is, the less value it actually has. So negative it's going to face toward the left because negative 3 is actually a greater value than negative 4. And 0 and negative 4, it's going to face toward the left still because 0 is greater than any negative. So okay, we got that done. Now let's actually do the operation that they're telling us to do. So it's the same operation for all of these. We're multiplying all of these by negative 1. I'm going to do 2 of them, and then I'm going to have you answer some questions about the next 2. So we have negative 1 on this side. Our inequality sign faced this way. We had 2 on this side. It's saying to multiply by negative 1. So I will multiply this side by negative 1. I'll put the multiplication sign there. And we'll multiply this side by negative 1. So if you type that in your calculator, you will, or if you remember, when you multiply 2 negatives by each other, they become a positive. So on this side, we actually have positive 1 now. And then on this side, we have positive 2 times negative 1. That's going to give us a negative 2. So now look what happens to our sign. Well, our sign no longer can face toward the negative 2 because that's not true. Negative 2 is less than positive 1. So our sign has to face this way. So look at what happened. It went from facing to the right to now facing to the left after we multiplied by negative 1. So we would say it was reversed. Next one down, same deal. I'm going to set up the inequality like we had. Going to multiply this side by negative 1. That's what they're telling us to do. Multiply this side by negative 1. From there, let's actually solve it. Negative 1 times 3 gives me negative 3. Negative 4 times negative 1 gives me positive 4. Same signs give us a positive. Different signs with multiplication gives us a negative. And again, we have to reverse our symbol because now positive 4 is greater than negative 3. So again, we reversed. Okay, so you guys will have to answer the following questions before seeing the answers now. Just use the same thing I did in these 3 above examples. Okay, so on this one you should have done negative 3 symbol there, negative 4. That should have came out to be positive 3 and then positive 4. And then you should realize, uh-oh, symbol reverses again because 4 is greater than 3. So we would say reversed. And there we have the next one. So again, this one we should also have found to be reversed. So on this line down it says, examine the results, make a statement about what you notice and justify it with evidence. So let's look at everything we've done. Well, when we added 2, it preserved the inequality sign. It stayed the same direction. Added negative 3, so adding a positive preserved it. Adding a negative also preserved it. Subtracting a positive number, 2, preserved it. Subtracting a negative number preserved it. Adding a positive number preserved it. So it seems addition and subtraction always preserves the inequality symbol. So we will actually write that down right below. I kind of skipped over this one. So right below here we will say adding or subtracting any number, whether it's positive or negative, preserves the inequality sign. Whereas down here, Well, down here, the only operation we did was we multiplied by -1. And if you look, every single time the inequality symbol was reversed. It changed the direction it was facing. So we will say multiplying by -1 reverses the inequality sign. Now let's keep going. So we got 2 more stations. Station 3, what are we getting into here? So station 3, first 2 columns are the same. We're going to come up with some numbers, and we have some different operations for this one. Let's check out what happens with each number and each operation. So same deal here, guys. I actually used the same numbers on both sides, so -2 all the way down this column, -4 all the way down this column. That means the inequality sign is always going to face toward that -2 because -2 is greater than -4. All right, let's do each operation that they are telling us. So operation number 1 is going to be multiply by 2. So I have to multiply by +2 on both sides. Let's see. Multiply by +2, multiply by +2. On this side, we will get -4. This side will get -8. Oops, didn't mean to have that written there. And we'll take a look at it. It looks like our symbol is still going to face this way because remember, the more negative something is, the less value it actually has. So we can tell that our inequality symbol was preserved. It faces the same direction. All right, let's go on to the next one. So dividing by 2, the first time we have division. All right. So let's see, -2 on this side, -4 on this side. And they want us to divide each side by 2 for this. So put my division bar, divide by 2, divide by 2. What happens? We will get -1 on this side, and we will get -2 on this side. I kind of got ahead there, but I put this symbol because it's still going to say the same. -1 is still greater than -2. So again, it preserved it. Okay. Let's carry on. So this one, divide by 1/2. -2, -4. Keep your inequality sign. Now divide by 1/2. And you can do this in the calculator by using those parentheses, using your A, B/C button. So let's see, -2 divided by 1/2 will give us -4. -4 divided by 1/2 will give us -8. So again, symbol's going to stay the same. So all these so far have been preserved. Whether we're multiplying or dividing, it's still facing the same direction. All right, I would like you to try this one. Answer the following question. All right, so here's how you do it. You do -2. We're going to multiply each side by +3. Get -6 on this side and -12 on the other side. Symbol is still going to face toward the left there. So it's still preserved. So let's kind of take a look at what we did there. So the operations were the only things different here. So we multiplied by positive 2, divide by positive 2, divide by positive 1/2, a fraction, and we multiplied by positive 3. So all of these were positives. And for all of them, the symbol was preserved. Okay, so for the ones that were reversed, it doesn't seem that multiplication was the issue. Because even though we multiplied by -1 here and it was reversed, we multiplied by positive 2 here and it was preserved, it stayed the same. So the operation doesn't seem to be the thing that reverses the symbol. So we will say that multiplying or dividing by a positive value, whether it's a whole number or a fraction, preserves the inequality sign. All right, one more station to fill in. Let's get it going. So station 4, they give us 3 is greater than -2. Well, that's true. Then they told us to multiply by -2, which is why they put those parentheses -2 on both sides here. And we see what they ended up with. Well, they ended up with -6 and +4. Look at what happened to the symbol. So even though it started out facing to the right, facing to the left, now it has to face to the right because 4 is the positive value and any positive value is greater than a negative value. So it was reversed. So okay, maybe you're starting to see what reverses the symbol. By the end of the station, you should definitely see what reverses the symbol. Let's set up the rest of our numbers here. All right, so we got the rest of our numbers set up. I stuck with the same numbers, 3 and -2, so our inequality sign is going to face the same direction. We will set up the new inequality. So let's see, 3, we have -2. Here they're telling us to multiply by -3. So I'll put parentheses -3, just another way to show multiplication. Put a number in parentheses right next to something with no symbol. And let's see what happens from this. So let's see, 3 times -3 gives us -9. All right. -2 times -3 gives us +6. So when I look and I decide, well, what do I have to do with the inequality sign? It has to switch directions because 6 is greater than -9. So there we have it. It was reversed. What about this one? Next one down. So we have our original inequality, 3 is greater than -2. This time they're telling us to divide by -2. So I'll divide by -2 here. I'll divide by -2 here. This one's going to give me -1.5. And this one's going to give me +1. Uh-oh, I shouldn't put that symbol yet because that's not true. Don't put that symbol yet. -1.5 is less than a +1. So again, the symbol was reversed. So it's not just multiplication that reverses it, division reverses it also. All right. Same deal here. Let's start with this. We'll start with our original equation. I'll do the operation they tell us. So we're going to divide by -1. Or I'm sorry, -1/2. And what will we end up with? Well, here we'll end up with -6. Down here we'll end up with +4. And you can always type those in your calculators. So what happens to my symbol? Well, this is a +4, so it has to face this direction. So again, we see how it was reversed. It changed the direction that it was facing. And lastly, let's do this last one. We have 3 greater than -2. It's telling us to multiply by -1/2. So that'll give us -1.5. This will give us +1. The symbol is going to have to face the other direction because any positive is greater than any negative. So look at that. It was reversed. So examine the results, make a statement about what you noticed, and justify it with evidence. So let's look at what happened here. Every inequality symbol ended up being reversed. So what did we do each time? Well, we multiplied, but we also divided. So that wasn't the common thing among everything. What do we multiply or divide by? Well, here we have -2, here we have -3, -2, -1/2, and -1/2. So the thing that's in common is that we multiplied or divided by a negative. Each time we did by a negative number. So here's what we will say. Multiplying or dividing by a negative value reverses the inequality sign.